Good morning and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, Pinpoint Margin Leaks to Maximize Every Transaction, where we're going to talk to you about margin intelligence side of the Profit Max platform. My name is Dean Holmes. I'm a product marketing manager here at Cavallo. I have over 30 years in the technology industry helping customers drive success. I am based in San Francisco. I am an avid urban and trail hiker, and I love live music and dancing. With me today is Nate DeWinkle, product manager for the Profit Max platform. Say hello, Nate. I think we're on speaker mode, so unless you say hello, they won't see your face. Uh,
Hello.
he has over 15 years helping customers use data to improve their business, which will be very fitting for today's conversation. He's based in the Cavallo's HQ in Grand Rapids, Michigan. He is a avid and, like me, not great golfer, and he loves running and being outdoors. All right, so I have a few housekeeping items to mention before we get started today. You can expect about a 30 to 40-minute presentation with demonstrations. We'll start with a short introduction to Cavallo, followed by a deep dive into margin variance analysis. And then we'll walk through profit indicators and what if scenario modeling. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with Q&A. Feel free to ask questions throughout the presentation using the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen, and we'll do our best to answer all the questions at the end. Today's webinar is being recorded, so you'll be able to view it on our YouTube page within the next 24 hours. With that, we'll get started. So Cavallo was founded over 20 years ago with the goal of helping our customers achieve max profitability. It was actually built inside a high-performing distribution business. We've supported thousands of distributors, and we've helped them recognize millions of dollars in value. I actually see some of you are here today. We have a 92% customer retention rate, and our support and services team carries an NPS score of 95. And we have over 21,000 users of our software. Our ultimate goal is to make our customers more profitable, competitive, and valuable. And doing that requires understanding down to the penny the profitability of every line, item, order, and customer. It also requires understanding how changes to things like pricing, volume costs have on your bottom line. Whether your ERP is Great Plains or Business Central, Acumatica, or Infor, we've created the software solutions that help drive profitability by giving you the most important insights for maximum profitability. And one of those solutions is the Profit Max platform. And specifically today, we'll be focused on margin intelligence. That includes margin variance analysis. So is what changes over different time periods have had positive or negative impacts on your profitability and why. We're going to talk about profit indicators and what if modeling. What are the profit levers inside your business, and what are the impacts of potential changes to the bottom line when you make changes to those? And proactive margin insights that provide you daily visibility into the health of your business and where to focus your efforts today. The ultimate goal of the Profit Max platform is to help you maximize every transaction. So let's start by discussing the importance of understanding order profitability. And that is where everything starts, the order. Now, some of you may have heard us talk about this before, but bear with me because at Cavallo, we truly believe that understanding every order is the key to max profitability. So we'll start with an illustration. Single order, one little green box, one little order. In an ideal state, this is a perfect order. Maybe it has 50 data fields, 10 lines per order, 20 human touches. And in this example, as an example distributor that handles 500 orders a day, this gives us about 2,500 perfect orders a week. And that's how it works, right? 2,500 flawless orders for max profitability. Well, we wouldn't all be here today if it was that easy. The reality looks something like this. 30 to 40% of those orders likely have defects. You may have more, you may have less. There's a good chance you might not even be sure. But on average, this is what we see and hear when we talk to distributors out in the wild. And it's easy to see why. There are a lot of things that can cause defects in an order. Today, we're going to focus on the financial defects. These are the type of defects that directly affect your margin of each of your orders. These are things like lower price than last time. Maybe a sales rep discounted the price without your knowledge. Higher cost than last time. Change in your costs for, I don't know, maybe something like a tax that you weren't expecting. All of these defects lead to margin leakage. And the defects add up. If we extrapolate that out over the course of a year, we're looking at 130,000 orders. At a 30 to 40% defect rate, that's 40 to 50,000 defective orders. And what's more, multiply those orders times the number of data fields, lines, and human touches per order, And in our example, that's 1.3 billion data points. That's a lot of data to sift through to find out where you're leaking profits. So where does that leave us? Well, I think we can all agree that hope is probably not the best strategy, but it's not uncommon. It's actually what our founder started with. He had orders coming in and orders going out with no idea why, how, or even if he was making maximum profit on his orders. Almost all distributors are profitable. But what if you're leaving money on the table? Is there more margin hidden in your orders? Figuring that out requires digging through those 1.3 billion data points, and a spreadsheet's not really going to cut it. You need purpose-built technology to help you find and fix those leaks. And the technology requires data science, more specifically, profit science. With that, I'm going to hand things over to Nate to talk to you about the Cavallo's science of profit and the value of margin variance analysis. Nate, over to you.
Thanks, Dean. As Dean mentioned, it requires data science. It requires profit scientists. At Cavallo, we like to call ourselves the profit scientist. We're looking at all parts of those orders to really understand where things are, where things have changed. And at the end of the day, what's in a scientist without an equation? So we have a view of the world, a view of profitability that we boil down into this Cavallo equation. So it really starts fundamentally. Dean showed us all the little green and red boxes. It starts at the order. So we look at the gross margin for every single order. And that gross margin is a function of the price minus the cost times the quantity and the number of lines in that order. All of that coming together, you take the price minus the cost for every single line times the quantity, multiplied by number of lines gives you the gross margin per order. You take that sum and you start bringing that across the whole enterprise for all of your orders to get your gross margin, your gross profitability. And it's really good at telling us exactly where things are today, but you can take that same number for this period and compare it to the number in the previous period, and that's where you start to see how things have changed over time. So, and that gets us to the margin variance analysis, that change across those time periods. It allows you to really understand how the margin changed. It's going to take down and says, what was the overall change? What was my dollars this year compared to last year? How did it change? We'll tell why, but it also tells you why it changed. Did it change because of a pricing pressure? Did it change because of a cost increase? Did it change because a volume went down? We take that whole change and can decompose it into all those different factors to completely understand why the variance has changed. And at the end of this, the margin variance analysis takes a couple of different scenarios, a couple of different options, and tells you what you can do about that. So you have a leak, so something has escaped, so you have a change that is not for the better. What could you do to actually recoup that and bring that back to the bottom line? So using the equation, starting at that order level allows us to analyze these millions of data points to really understand that change and what we can do about it. And with that, we get our clarity and we can see it down to the penny exactly where those changes are. I'm going to jump over to a demo here. All right. So we have that equation. We're taking our overall from the order, summing that all up and saying where we are. And this is what the Profit Max platform looks like when you start logging in. We're immediately showing you what your overall sales is, what your cost is, and what your margin is. So we can see off the bat what that dollar value is. The great thing about this is we're connected to the ERP. This number is going to update on a daily basis. There's no pulling it from a spreadsheet. There's no having to rerun a calculation. There's no having to build out your own formulas. This is all contained here in a secure environment where you can start looking at this data and have a pulse of your business every single day. Now, some people are looking at this weekly, some people doing it quarterly, because it's just a manual process to get the data out. We're sitting on top of the ERP, making it really easy. And of course, we can take different areas and people have different definitions of cost or different definitions of how they want to see their financials come in. We have configurability to allow this to represent this your business and have it up to date for you every single day. So we're saving a lot of time crunching the numbers for you, giving this so you can get right into it and make a decision and understand what happened. So having your what happened immediately to you right off the bat is really powerful for a lot of our customers for just saving time right there. We see our gross margin. We see how it changed over time. So right now I have $25.7 million in gross margin. That's up $3 million for this year, or 13%. It was a good year. We see the overall trend for the different months that come in. So things were doing okay. Then come January, we really started seeing an improvement in our overall. And we actually start seeing why there was an improvement in that gross margin coming to margin variance analysis. So we talked about the equation, we had all of those changes, and let's really get into what drove the change, what factors motivated that change. And we could come in here and we start seeing, was that $3 million change due to price, returns, volume, or cost? We look over and say that we have a large net impact here due to cost, $2.3 million. What's happening here is our cost, we got a lot better at using our cost from probably January forward to really start driving this overall profitability. And this little spoiler on this is right around January is when we started using MVA to start really understanding how our cost changes so we can stay on top of things and really looking at that so we can start saying that, hey, instead of losing money due to cost, we're gaining it. We're going to drive into the margin variance analysis here. Margin variance is showing us that overall change and why it did. Was it what were the factors that did that contributed to that change? We have who are our top performers from our customers, our items, our sales reps, customer classes. All of this is just readily available for us to dive into it. And we also take all those factors and say, hey, we're doing better based upon volume, but we're losing out because of price. We did a lot better on cost. But I want to dive into this price area. Really can start taking a look and says, what happened to price? Why was I leaving money on the table due to pricing? I want to make sure that my sales rep are keeping my price at the appropriate level, make sure that I'm maximizing my margin on every single one of those orders. So diving into price, we can see who has the largest impact. Again, with customers or items where we're actually gaining money, but where we're losing it. And I'm immediately drawn to this item of this premium dumbbell set where I have my net impact of negative $250,000. So this year versus the previous year, I have made $250,000 less on this item because of pricing pressure. So this isn't because somebody bought less of it. This isn't just because it's not moving. I've sold this to people and I've made less money when I sold it. We can click into this really quickly and we can start seeing exactly where did I make all those sales and where did I leave that money on the table. So we see to Sabre Racket Sports, Lake Meadowlandside, Performance Camping, all of these price changes where we're down $10, down $7, down $137. And we see the impacts to the margin on every single one of those items. Like taking a look at all of those factors that contribute to that bottom line, we know exactly where we left money on the table due to pricing. Ava's even sitting here telling us, what should I do about it? Let's talk to our sales rep. What did Logan Reed do about this? Why did he discount this? Or why did he lower our price so substantially? Why did he leave this money on the table? So we have an action item. We can go talk to Logan. We can download this, show him all the data that we have. So we can go out and we can say, hey, Sabra, we got to make a change the next time you order this to make sure that this small leak doesn't continue to grow. Now, that's great. We're looking at the last 12 months, and that's great if we want to do a planning exercise and really understand what it is. The power of MBA comes in when you start taking that cycle down. So we can move from a trailing 12 months to what happened in the last 30 days. So we're going to bump back here. And last 30 days, and all of a sudden the picture's changed. Instead of having a large gap or losses due to price, I'm actually doing better. I've increased my pricing. I made a corrective action. Things are looking better for pricing. But all of a sudden cost, where I had a $2 million gain before, has now moved to a loss. So something in the good work I have done in the previous has changed because I'm able to look at this in 30 days and understand where exactly this is happening. So we're going to follow a similar path. We're going to dive into cost here. We're going to take a look at this and really immediately jump back down to the item and say, hey, this home runs pitcher's net. In the last 30 days, I've left $4,000 on the table because of a cost change. Why haven't we adjusted our pricing? Why are we not protecting our margins here? So we can immediately do the same thing, dive into this. This will show us all the customers that have gotten this. We see the same thing. Our cost is up by $3 and our margin went down by 11. So all of our cost changes, our costs are going up. Sometimes we're even lowering the prices we're doing this. So I can talk again to, this time it's Gordon Mann, who's apparently not followed the fact that there's a cost increase and needs to pass that on to our customers. And because this data is updated daily, I don't have to go download it, crunch it. I come in here every single day to take a look at this. And before that $4,000 in the last 30 days becomes a $100,000 or $1 million profit leak, we can do something immediately to drive it and get it into the bottom line. So it's really helping improve the processes, find the areas where things are changing that we're not able to see easily, drive it out and see to the penny exactly where those changes are. And Ava's also telling us again what we should be doing. Let's reach out to Gordon. Let's talk to the customers. Let's make sure we're adjusting our pricing to recapture this cost change so we can keep our margins flat, or maybe even expand them as your costs go up. So MBA explains that why, and then what you can do about it to really capture that profitability going forward.
That's awesome, Nate. Thank you so much for sharing that. The MBA, I think, is one of the coolest ones, just because of, like, you showed the fact that you can see where, oh, hey, I made profit, but I could have made more. Like, it's such a clear indication of where there's gaps. Or hey, we did really well here. Like, I think that's such a neat aspect of how it shows that. All right, so I am going to move along here, and Nate showed us what happens at the order level and why. The importance of understanding the details of an order at the micro level, let's say. Now we're going to talk about the macro level, a little bit bigger, the trends that impact your bottom line, and the importance of understanding the profit levers of your business and how small changes can impact your profitability. I'm going to jump back into our example mid-market distributor that's doing those 500 orders a day, right? Company's got about 10,000 customers, 1,000 SKUs, 50 employees. We're going to use their sample P&L as a benchmark. They've got about 20 million in net sales, 15 million cost of goods sold, another 4.5 million in total expenses. All told, in this example, we're looking at a 2.5% in profit before taxes, or operating profit. Not highly profitable, probably on the low end for a distributor, but gives us a good baseline to understand how these metrics change. We have some other metrics here on the other side here that are focused on profitability, such as gross margin, return on assets, profit per employee, et cetera. The reason I'm highlighting these is to show you how understanding the impact of changes to things like price and cost affect bottom line profitability. So if we go back to the equation that Nate walked us through earlier and model out a price change compared to our benchmark, we can see how something as small as a 1.24% adjustment in pricing has a significant impact in our profitability. Here, as you go down looking at the before and after, we see a 5% increase in gross margin, which leads to a 47.5% increase in operating profit percentage, a 46.9% increase in return on assets, and a 47.5% increase in profit per employee. If we look at a change in cost of goods sold, a 1.67% change is, again, a 5% change in gross margin, where with cost, we get a 50% change in operating profit percentage, a 51% change in return on assets, and a 50% change in profit per employee. Now, I said change here on purpose because originally with the pricing, I said increase. You can think about this both ways, right? If I were to increase or decrease my profit, or my price, increase or decrease my cost, these are the effects that it's going to have. And sometimes you can utilize that to potentially understand how, if I know that one thing is going to change, what do I need to do to affect the other, or to keep myself level? So I'm actually going to hand things back over to Nate to give you more details about how we can help you understand your profit levers with profit indicators and game out the impacts of some of these changes that we're talking about here with what if scenario modeling. Nate, hand it back over to you.
Thanks, Dean. I drew the nerd straw today.
Oh, my bad. I stopped sharing. 1 second. There we go.
Yeah. All right. So bear with me as we go back through some other math, but it really is important to understand as a profit scientist where we're coming from. So we have the gross margin per order. We've talked about that, talked about these changes that occur in that. You can then take that and we go to the overall enterprise. So from an order, take the average gross margin per order, the average orders per customers, and the number of active customers can tell you the overall performance of our organization. And as Dean already showed you a little bit earlier in those previous slides, changing any one of those levers, either getting more customers, having those existing customers buy more, or increasing the value, the price that those customers are paying, and working on any one of those levers is going to have the ability to decrease or increase the bottom line when you're starting to look at this overall. So with profit indicators, we're really looking at every single one of those levers, that average orders per customer, the number of customers, and the value per order. So we see what can impact our business and what we can do to improve. So instead of guessing, because hope is not a strategy, we can game out different areas. Say, I want to target discounts. I want to target cost reductions or price increases. All of these different levers to pull to improve a business, and really understanding those scenarios before you go out and hope that they work. You'll have a sense of what is going to work and what the impact can be. So we know these small changes net big results. Some changes can be smaller than others and can really outperform and have outside results. Profit indicators, as we'll see, will show you and target those different scenarios about what you can do and where there is some potential to improve a business that's already doing pretty well. I'm going to jump over to my demo here. All right, we're back here on the Profit Max platform home screen. We already talked about how margin changes over time and understanding why it changed, but we're going to jump over here to understand our profit indicators. So there's a lot of data here, but we're nerds. We're deep into our profitability. So it's a view that we've already seen. Dean showed us the spreadsheet where we have the overall unique customers, how many customers are buying in this period versus the current period. Again, it's making this data available to you without you having to crunch any numbers. Define what an active customer is, see who's there. It's just for you every single day you log in. You don't have to download a spreadsheet, go somewhere else, just be able to look at that. We have that average, that the O part of the equation, the number of orders per customer. We can see that our average is actually increasing here, so we're actually getting more value from each of our customers. And our total order count has increased as well. So we're actually growing our business here, which is a really good story. The same happens in the total number of lines. If we continue down this, so we have the overall levers for number of orders and number of customers, the story actually starts changing a little bit. Like instead of just seeing growth, you look at this, our prices per line are actually down a little bit. So I'm down $6 per line. So I grew, but was there an opportunity to grow better because of pricing? We actually already saw in the margin variance analysis that there was pricing pressure, right? And we had people not increase pricing appropriately. So we've already taken care of that within MBA, but we're seeing some of that results here to see that that's been really contributing to some of the depression here. We have our net price, again, is down. Average sales per order, roughly the same, but down as well. Our costs are actually to see the benefits of our cost control here as well. Our costs are down per our order, and overall our margins up because cost is outweighing price. But we're looking at all of these different levers in one place every single day to get that holistic view of the business to understand everything that's happening. We actually can come down here and we'll see a little bit more where we can break this out by item class or by customer. So we can target exactly all of those levers for all of the segments of our business that we really care about. So I really want to look for Carla Golfing and understand what their margin is, their margin performance, total number of orders, their average lines per order. How do they compare to our other companies? So we can start targeting different groups for different interventions. We also have the flexibility to come down here and really understand your business if you have a custom field or some different way you want to segment the data. So really understanding these levers, any single way you want to slice and dice it to get the business answer you're looking for. Again, made for you, available daily without you having to build anything. So this provides a great overview of how things are and how things changed within our profit indicators. Ava's coming back over here as well. So we know we have a pricing issue, but how do I want to increase my profitability? Ava's already going to give us 3 different options to get in here. So there's 3 strategies here to increase our profitability by 5%. I'd like an extra 5%. It'd be great to get an extra 5%. Like, what are different strategies to increase that bottom line? And that's what I'm always trying to do, is grow, find those strategies to make sure I can improve the value of my business, improve my bottom line. The first thing Ava is saying we could do is we could increase our lines per order by 0.13. So that's getting 1 in about 7 customers to buy 1 more item. So can I get 1 in 7 Deans to buy 1 more thing is really what we're looking at here. So maybe maybe it's not too hard. Can I find 1 in 7 to buy 1 more item? I could also drive a higher sales per line. Like if I increase my sales per line by $11 to a total of 405, that's also going to get me my 5% increase. Not that $11 doesn't seem too bad. I think there's a lot of different things going on in the world today. People probably not bought too much at $11, so I could probably get away with doing that. Or I could also go and find 543 new customers, new average customers. That one seems a little harder. Looking at from trying to manage my business, these first 2 seem pretty easy. There's a lot of things for me to do to either increase my price or increase the number of orders to incentivize additional orders. Finding 543 new customers sounds a lot harder. So as a business owner, as somebody who's managing this company, of these 3 strategies, I can already have a framework for. There's probably going to be a couple of these that are going to be easier levers to pull than the other. We can dive right into this, and I want to take a look at the average sales per line. This brings me to this wonderful calculator. We're coming in and say our average sales per line has gone up to get this 5%. And really, the interesting thing that immediately jumps out to me, so we know it was a 5% increase in our average sales. What does that mean for our price? Well, because there's multiple lines on an order, right? Instead of having a 5% increase, it's only a 2.8% increase in price. So can I find a way to get 2.8% increase into my bottom line that's going to impact and get us to that 5% because we have multiple lines in the order coming in across this company? So as the business owner, my wheels are starting to turn. How can I possibly push in that 3% price increase? How can I possibly push in different ways to target this? And the great thing about this is we don't just stop there with the AVA recommendation. The world's changing, things are going to change. So what happens if I push my 3% price increase, but say my costs go up by 25%? All right, all of a sudden we're seeing our estimated margin is actually down by 13%. We see all the changes, what's gone up, what's gone down in these scenarios. And we can really start playing with different areas for us to go, all right, I want to keep myself close to break even or not make additional money here. What's the appropriate level of my pricing? Should it be increased by 25%? Well, increasing by 25% actually increases my profit. It's probably closer to 21%, and it's even a little higher. So I only need to push in about a 12% increase here to really maintain my profitability. So I don't need to push everything in to maintain my profitability. And this actually increases my profitability by a little bit, 2% overall. So having this, I don't have to hope that my price change is going to cover it. I don't have to guess what's going to happen. I have the ability to look through all of these different scenarios and understand exactly what can happen, what levers I can pull to really to increase my business to make sure that bottom line continues to improve.
I love that. I love that counter adjustments that you can make there and play with. You know, if I increase my price, I might decrease my customers, so I need to consider the all of the considerations. I think that's such a valuable tool to be able to play with. Nate, before you leave, one of the last little piece that we kind of talked about, you showed us the really cool tools of the profit indicators and the what if, kind of going back to the margin and how I need to be on top of things like price changes and such. I believe you kind of hinted at Ava in the context of these what ifs, but I believe that Ava, it does more than just talk to you about kind of some of the scenarios that you could game out. It's actually giving you some insights that are sort of proactive and giving you information on the fly, right?
Yeah, so the great thing about Ava is she's throughout the whole Profit Max platform. She's telling you what you can do. She's giving you suggestions to improve, but she's also giving you a starting point every single day to come in and says, "Hey, you have customers at risk that are really going to that are going to hurt the bottom line if they are to churn, or where you're seeing your customer class that's underperforming, items that you're selling less of, items with a margin decline." So again, this is going to be updated daily. So come in and where should I spend my time today? Ava's going to give you the top things to start looking at. That's really going to help that bottom line. So instead of having to come in and do a what if scenario or know what you want to look at, you can have a starting point every single day to improve your business. And it's a single lens for anybody in your organization to view to start taking action to improve. So it's not just the one analyst who's running the spreadsheet who then has to go spread the knowledge. It's there for anybody to start looking at and start acting.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you, Nate, for walking us through all of that in the Profit Max platform and margin variance analysis and profit indicators and what if. So with that, let me get chair here. Let's bring it all home. Maximizing profitability requires understanding down to the penny where you're leaking or gaining margin, which margin variance analysis can provide. It provides you that margin clarity all the way down to the penny for items, customers, orders, etc. With profit indicators, you get that clear picture of the profit levers you can pull to impact your business. And with the what if scenario modeling, you can understand how changes to price, cost, volume, etc., could impact your business. This is the science of profit in action, and we're actually, as I think, even as maybe it's pretty geeky here, we've got our stairway to profit shirts. We really eat, sleep, and breathe the profitability aspect of things, and we truly believe that the Profit Max platform is the ultimate tool to help you maximize your profits today. So we hope that this gave you some insights into what the Profit Max platform and specifically margin intelligence can do for you. With that, I'm going to jump into the Q&A, and it looks like we have a couple of questions here. Okay. Uh, well, this is a pretty good one. This is a lot of my company's financial data. How are you handling security?
Yeah, it's security is first and foremost on our mind here. We want to make sure that we're being good stewards of the resources. So we're not the data segregated, a multi-tenant environment, securely managed in our private cloud. We're not sending the data anywhere it shouldn't be sent to. Really trying to make sure we're connected directly to the ERP to minimize it, to make sure we have secure transit. So security really is one of our top priorities here within the Profit Max platform.
No, that's great. Um, this question I love because this is a repeat customer. They said, I watched last week's webinar on customer intelligence. Thank you very much for joining us. You saw Nate as last week. And we talked about customer segmentation, specifically and I'm paraphrasing here, the ABCD segmentation. How does that tie in here?
That's the very astute watcher. So we didn't show it here, but that customer segmentation is key to understand your customers because it's going to tell you exactly what levers you want to pull for whom, and actually can highlight within margin variance analysis where there's either cost erosion or price erosion that you don't want to happen for your very important customers. So it is integral into this. We actually have the ability to segment both the margin variance analysis and profit indicators by that ABCD because it is so core to understand your customers and making sure that your best customers stay your best customers and you're treating them appropriately and then making sure you can maximize the value out of your B and C customers.
Awesome. Yeah, I saw that you were kind of digging through the segments, and I think that's such a great be able to cross between the customer intelligence and margin intelligence. Okay, last question I think so far, unless we get another one here. What kind of results have you seen with your customers? I think they're talking about us who have utilized margin intelligence. So our customers that have utilized margin intelligence.
Yeah, the great thing is like even with our customers who are doing pretty good, there's always the ability to better. So we're actually looking at throughout the customer base, which are pretty much average distributors. There's typically just looking at the pricing and the costing factor. There's an opportunity to increase your bottom line by 4 to 5%. And that's just by better monitoring price and cost. These are things within your control as a manufacturer, as a distributor. So we're seeing customers really gravitate towards that to say, hey, look, I know exactly every 30 days, this is where the pricing change, this is where the costing change, to get ahead of that so that they're actually leaving less money on the table the longer they're using the product. And we've actually seen people go from having their own customers bases where they had unprofitable customers to every single one of our customers saw increased profitability for their customers. So highlighting these different areas of the application really helps customers drive additional value.
Oh, that's exciting. That's awesome. We gotta love, you love the positive results. That's what we're here for, right? Okay, I think that's all the questions. So I will stop our sharing here. I want to thank you, Nate. Thank you very much for spending for helping us here today, and for all of you out there for spending part of your day with us. We hope to see you all at future webinars. I encourage you to visit our events page at cavallo.com, events schedule. You'll be able to register for upcoming webinars and view recordings of past webinars from this page, including this one, and the customer intelligence one if you missed that one last week. If you would like to explore your organization's specific needs further or have any questions about what you heard today, please contact your account manager if you have one, or send an email to marketing@cavallo.com if you're new to us. Lastly, there will be a short survey when we exit the webinar, and we would greatly appreciate your feedback. Thank you for joining and have a great day. Nate, thank you again.
Thank you.
See you, everybody.